Welcome back for another video. Good luck this game week all. In this final video we're going to look at all the experts data for Double Gameweek 25, including all their top transfers, chips active, the experts team and more. Let's get straight into it. FPL Flares moved top of the experts league with a massive score of 98 points last week. That takes him up to 1k overall. Did you manage to beat the experts average of 80? There's now 15 experts in the top 10k at this point and there's 70 in the top 100k. No doubt some big green arrows to come this week as well. It's a week where getting our transfers is particularly important. 21% are rolling, 33% have made one transfer, 39% have made two, and 5% have made three transfers. Absolutely loads of hits this week. 23% of the experts are on a -4, and one's on a -8 here. Hits can very often fail to pay off in single game weeks, but when you've got City and Liverpool doubling, plus a blank in 26 to plan for, and a double in 28, there's a lot to factor in, and there is potential to get those negative points back over the next few weeks. 2% of the experts have got their free hit active this week, and we've got their free hit team to look at later in this video for the best Gameweek 25 team. So let's have a look at the most bought and sold players this week. You might be a bit surprised by who's top this week. It's Ake. 30% have transferred him in. This certainly wouldn't have been the case if not for a combination of injuries to Trent and Vardiol. Trent's going to reportedly miss the League Cup final, which is after Double Gameweek 25, hence expected to miss this game week entirely. And Pep said that Vardiol's out for 2 to 3 weeks as well, which favours Ake as the left-footed option in defence. As is always the case with Pep, there's no guaranteeing Ake starts in both, as it is a lot of football to be playing non-stop midweek and weekends. He also started in the Champions League early this week. City do have the benefit of playing in Gameweek 26 while Liverpool don't, which also makes Trent or Pedro Porro to Ake a nice play. 11% have sold Pedro Porro, who reportedly has a muscular injury, and Udogie also hasn't trained fully this week. Both are going to be assessed ahead of this weekend's fixture. De Bruyne is the second top transfer in by 16% of the experts. The added benefit of Trent's injury is a move like Trent to Ake frees up a lot of money, which might make KDB reachable, though it's not worth the sideways move from Foden, as that one could go either way. Jota, Doughty and Darwin have all been transferred in by 10% this week. Liverpool's double looks too good not to have at least one attacker for. Darwin and Jota are dead even this week really, so if you're looking to buy one, go for whichever makes more sense in your team in terms of who's replaceable. A massive 21% have sold Palmer. 17 returns in 16 games since his debut, only 5.9 mil, and no one's got more FPL points since he made his full debut. However, there is some logic to it, with City this week and then a blank, plus a likely blank in Gameweek 29. If Chelsea's Gameweek 29 game gets postponed, then they'll likely double in both Gameweek 34 and 37, so we're all going to have Palmer back at some point, even if selling now temporarily for short-term gains. The same logic's being applied by the 11% selling Solanke. They're looking for a short-term gain on Darwin, or Tony, with a view to buying Solanke back for his double in 28. And that's exactly why 10% have bought Doughty. It's not a great double gameweek for Luton, but he's a super attacking defender. You get double gameweek now, plus a double in Gameweek 28, plus they've got around a 55% chance of playing in Gameweek 29, as per the graphic from Ben Crellin here. And we'll all know before the Gameweek 27 deadline who blanks in Gameweek 29. 6% are buying Alisson this week. Another set of transfers that has emerged is Trent to Ake and then Dubravka to Alisson. You're buying two doublers, so there's a lot of upside there, as long as your other keeper plays in Gameweek 26. Moving on to the chips. 6% of the experts have wildcarded, so 94% still have theirs. 2% have got their free hit active, and 2% have got their bench boost active. And a massive 92% have got their triple captain active this week. The experts feeling for the most part there won't be a better opportunity. We talked about other potential triple captain opportunities early this week, as if you're not using it now you have to be aware of when you might use it. And to summarise, there is Solanke in Gameweek 28 with a home double to Sheffield United and Luton. However, the projected points have Haaland higher this week than Solanke in 28, so unless you've got another chip active, it's something to strongly consider this week. Gameweek 34 is going to be a double game week, but there aren't expected to be any exciting doublers worth exploring. Arsenal have a chance of doubling, but realistically speaking, Saka's not a better triple captain than Haaland this week. And then there's double Gameweek 37, where Haaland and Salah could double, but by that stage they could be juggling other competitions, leading to reduced minutes. Or the league could even be wrapped up by that point, and Pep and Klopp give peripheral players some minutes. Last season in Gameweek 37, Haaland only played one of the two in the double. Gameweek 37 might also be the best week to bench boost, as it'll be the biggest double game week of the season. It sounds a bit mad to plan so far ahead, but the smallest decisions can have the biggest knock-on effects in FPL. So Chelm's one of the experts with his free hit active. Here's his team for this week. It's a 3-4-3 with Kaminsky in goal. In defence, Van Dijk, Doughty and Gabriel. In midfield, Saka, De Bruyne, Foden and Jota. And up top he's got Tony, Darwin and Haaland captain. Here's what he had to say. It's been a tough last couple of game weeks from Game Week 20 to 24. I went from 87k to 488k and then back to 150k overall. Looking at my team, free hit made the most sense. Free transfers will allow me to navigate blank Game Week 26 and 29 with only one hit, and only had 2 City and 1 free transfer going into Game Week 25. I have 2 free hit drafts. The first is likely to be used. The second is a Salah draft and early team news dependent, so it's Barkley and Salah or Saka and Jota the 2 differences. In goal, I've picked one of the 2 doublers. I don't expect much points here. In defence, Virgil's the best pick for Liverpool. Gabriel's in for his aerial threat against Burnley, and with Doughty I'm hoping for an attacking return. The mids and forwards pick themselves. Depending on Liverpool team news, Salah, Bradley, Diaz and Robertson are in consideration depending on who starts, with Barkley and Adebayo who could fill in Liverpool gaps if they appear. Doku can also fill a City gap if there's news available. Hopefully my free hit 25 and maybe Slanky triple captain in Game Week 28 can match or even gain on the triple captain Haaland Game Week 25, 26 and 29 teams taking hits. Thanks very much for sending in, best of luck on the free hit. Moving on to captaincy, and we'll keep it short and sweet this week, because for the first time I can remember in a very long time, every single expert's in agreement and they're on Haaland captain. It's hard to make the case for anyone else really. FPL Reviews got Haaland on 14.2 projected points, and then Darwin on 11.3, and then Foden and De Bruyne just over 10 points. As we've said in this week's videos, 2 wins and City can go top of the league, so it's a couple of really important games for Pep, and therefore he's expected to start both. Here's the goal scorer odds for Game Week 25. An asterisk showing that the odds have been combined for double Game Week players to give the probabilities of scoring any time across both games. Haaland with a massive 71% chance, Darwin on 70% and Jota on 63.5%. Let's move on to the experts team for Game Week 25. There's been a few changes to the team since last week. It's Dubravka in goal, in defence Gabriel, Ake and Doughty, Foden, Jota, Richarlison and Saka in midfield, Darwin, Haaland and Watkins up top. So we've got Darwin vice captain, but there's no vice this week since 100% went for Haaland. Areola, Pedro Porro, Estupinian and Palmer on the bench. Ake, Doughty and Darwin have joined the team in place of Trent, Taylor and Solanke. That gives the team 6 doublers this week, which is really strong. Not enough transfer activity for a third Liverpool asset to join the template team, but Van Dijk will no doubt be a popular pick now. The rest of Liverpool's defence looks a bit risky. Bradley, Robertson and Konate could quite easily start one each, with a view to rotating before the League Cup final, perhaps in the easier Luton game at Anfield. Moving on to experts tips for double Game Week 25. Matt Brooks says, I'm currently planning triple captain Haaland this week. However, I am keeping an eye on the bench boost, and I think if your team looks set up nicely and you're looking for something different, it can be a really good alternative to bet against the big Norwegian. As if you regularly captain, you can get 2/3 of the points anyway to cover. A triple captain Solanke or another option later in the game. Andrew Debenham says, quite happy to play the likes of Gordon, Watkins and Gabriel this week. I can see some single game week players outscoring their much vaunted double game week counterparts. Morten Gamst Edison, who shared his Game Week 24 wildcard with us on last week's video, said, the wildcard went better than my wildest dreams, 97 points all out. I just need my bench boost to exceed Haaland triple captain now. MHD21 says, you know you're an FPL addict when you're thinking more about your no free hit Game Week 29 than the current double game week. But we're at the stage where every transfer made has to aid long term plans. That is the reason I'm going for Regulon and Doughty with a -4, as I see them paying it back in Game Week 28 and Game Week 29. Famous last words. Wader is on the fence about triple captaining. He says, like a lot of managers this week, the triple captainship is in play for Haaland. As much out of fear as anything else, as I prefer the Solanke double in Game Week 28, but that's a long time to wait to have to see if that would be the right decision or not. FPL Flair says, strongly recommend buying Ake if you only need him for Game Week 25 and 26. Owning a 5 City defender of excellent expected minutes with a double game week and Bournemouth as a gift. Pep loves rotation, but Ake started the last 8 Premier League games in a row, and now his main competition is out for weeks. FPL Obsessed Family says, despite Palmer's recent heroics, it's time to say goodbye to Chelsea assets for a few weeks as we enter chip season. Salah's minutes will definitely make this game interesting and could end up being key. And lastly, the Doc FPL says, chips and hits week. Even more hits coming next week. Injuries, rotation, uncertainty, double game weeks and blank game weeks. Salah and Son are back. Enjoy the chaos. Thanks very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you're not already. We'll be live for the deadline on Saturday. See you then.